It's an exciting period. I think there's the last 18 months have been very much a slog to get the team back on the road, sort of thing. And I think we gradually prove that we can do that. And the young lads coming through, I think the next 12 months are going to be vital that we stabilise our situation in the second division. And I mean, football, it's a funny game, and we just got to keep our feet on the floor and make sure we work as hard together as we have done in the third division, and all you can do is your best. It's the unknown to us, really, all of us. So although I wouldn't say anxious is the word, I would say that we're just looking apprehensive and wanting to see what other teams have got to throw at us. Obviously there's a lot more quality in the second division, and we've got to see how we react to it, and we're optimistic.
Which players in your side are you really looking for this season that can really make themselves a grade? Obviously the likes of Dean Yates, the ones that spring to mind. He's been in the third division when a lot of first division sides have been after them. Do you expect him to really excel in Division 2? I
really put my hand on my chest and say that I feel that there's so many of my lads that I'm looking forward to seeing that I can't really pick one out. I think for Dean it's important to him because he's not played at that level, and he's got to try and establish himself amongst the quality that he's had in the third division. Craig Shaw alongside him, if he can progress like he has in the last 12 months, it will be quite phenomenal. And then you look right the way through in the midfield area, you've got so many permutations, and that we're looking forward to that. And you Bartlett and Tommy Johnson, can they do the same thing? Will Gary Lund be the butt for the fans again, and everybody want him, but will he carry on and do the job? There's so many questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play at the higher level, simply so it'll answer some of the questions thrown at me.
Where do you sort of put your aims for this new season? Is it to survive, or have you got higher ambitions than that?
Well, I haven't, no. I always, as a manager, going into a new division, I would always think, well, third from bottom in this particular season is my aim. And then you get, as you go along, if you do better, then you set your heights higher. I'm not one of those that wants to go in and tell everybody that we're going to win the league or we're going to do this and that, because I'm not on cuckoo land. I'm a realistic manager, I think, and it depends on the youngsters.
Neil Warnock, on the eve of the 1990-91 season, stressing that County's first campaign back in the second division was a time for consolidation. That's exactly how it felt in the first 10 weeks as Notts played 15 league matches for 6 wins, 3 draws and, most significantly, 6 defeats, 3 of those at Meadow Lane. Notts were to lose only 6 more matches in the whole of the rest of the campaign. The highlight of this early, stuttering period was a little sequence of 3 wins over Watford and Port Vale away and Bristol Rovers at home. Rovers had been the previous season's third division champions, but on the 29th of September they were undone by a narrow 3-2 margin despite taking an early lead.
Long throw in, Bartlett on the end of it, and Yates, and it goes into the back of the net, and Notts get the equaliser from Dean Yates. The corner by D. Thomas didn't produce the danger, but the throw did. It worked its way through to Dean Yates, and it's all locked up at 1-1 on 29. The corner by Draper is headed out as far as Thomas Schultz. Brilliant goal by Dean Thomas from the edge of the box. Marvellous effort on the volley. Parking, groping. Thomas shoots through, and Notts, looking for the breakthrough goal before half-time, get it with 4 minutes to the break. 2-1 to Notts. Crossing from the right. Short at the end of it. Robinson shot into the corner, and Robinson makes it 3-1. Just 4 minutes into the second half, and Phil Robinson it is at the far post. Another simple goal, really, all arising from the throw, won by Bartlett on the right. And when the flick came in, Robinson was the free man to make it 3-1.
So the early season highlight was provided by the Rumbelows Elite Cup. Notts beat Exeter in the first round, then were paired with Oldham Athletic in the second. Oldham had been last season's beaten finalists, losing to Forest at Wembley. Notts outplayed them in the first leg at Meadow Lane, but had only this 65th minute goal by Tommy Johnson to show for it.
And now Lund, with a fine ball, releases Plattner. Plattner now to Bartlett. Bartlett really hasn't got the ball under control, but he's brought down in the area, and the penalty's given by the linesman. The penalty is given. We've seen Johnson miss one at Hull on the opening day of the season. He was 100% from the spot before then. Come on, Tommy, the cry goes up. 20 minutes in the second half. The Rumbelows Cup. Second round, first leg, 0-0 at the moment. The penalty given because Bartlett was brought down. Here comes Johnson, and it's saved. And Johnson on the rebound puts the ball in the back of the net. It wasn't struck cleanly. Hallworth pushed it away, and Johnson wraps it into the roof, and Notts take the lead on that 20th minute. It may have been a harsh penalty, but Notts deserved the goal for the way they pressed forward.
The tantalising question was whether one goal was sufficient to take to Boundary Park for a tie which turned out to be a real thriller. Rick Holden levelled the aggregate scores with an early goal for Oldham. Then Notts struck twice.
Bartlett chases, brought down by the goalkeeper, and for the second time we've got a penalty. Drama at Boundary Park. There's a penalty to Notts County because Kevin Bartlett, who was brought down in the first tie, and that produced a penalty. Hallworth saved it from Tommy Johnson. Johnson wrapped in the rebound, all on 65 minutes. Here we are on 37. It's 1-0 on the night to Oldham because, of course, Rick Holden scored on the half hour. And now, with Bartlett down, brought down by the goalkeeper, John Hallworth, it's going to be Tommy Johnson again, who comes up, strikes the ball and scores. And Notts are 2-1 ahead on aggregate. 1-1 on the night, all locked up. 2-1 to Notts on aggregate. Oh, it's again Bartlett going against Barrett. And the ball now falling for Robinson. Tries a shot and it's in. And it is in fact driven in brilliantly by Phil Robinson. 18 minutes of the second half and 3-1 to Notts on aggregate. And is this tie sealed? And are last season's finalists out of it? The speed of Bartlett, the telling factor in the goal. And Robinson was free, and the shot into the corner brings the travelling fans to their feet. And Robinson accepts the accolades.
But Oldham battled back from being 3-1 down overall to force the tie to extra time and to run out winners on the night by 5-2, a hugely flattering margin. Consolation for Notts, and particularly for Tommy Johnson, was his selection in the England under-21 squad for the international match with Poland.
Yeah, a big shock it was when you told us last week, when I found out. It's brilliant. I didn't know at first whether I'd be going or not, but the club's been absolutely magnificent about it. Everyone, the gaffer, Mick Jones, all the backroom staff have decided to let us go and call the match off against Charlton, which I think is really good of them. Show the faith in us. Can't believe it, really.
Just to emphasise the element of surprise to our listeners, when I called you with the good news, you didn't know about it, and you had to check teletext just to check I was telling you the truth.
Yeah, when I rang up, I thought, what have I done here? Because I don't get many phone calls off you, and I thought, I've done something wrong. But when you told us, I couldn't believe it. I had to look at the teletext first to make sure, and there it was in black and white.
And then the phone was going quite a lot after that, I think.
Oh yeah, the past couple of days has been unbelievable. I've had loads of letters and everybody ringing up, congratulations and that, and it's brilliant.
In the league, Notts had already lost to Barnsley and Millwall at Meadow Lane before West Ham United took away 3 points on the 3rd of November with a truly sensational goal by local boy Trevor Morley, arguably the best of the season at the Lane.
Ball played forward for Morley. Shoots, goal, brilliant effort. Just out on the right-hand side, and Morley in a little bit of space. Oh, made it all for himself, really, Trevor Morley. The ball played forward to the edge of the area. What a fine shot away from Steve Cherry.
The team selection that day was significant. Donna Reardon, the veteran, much-travelled Irishman, was brought out of obscurity to act as sweeper and bring stability to an unsure defence. Notts had been in the transfer market, plucking midfielder Paul Harding and striker David Regis from Barnet in the Vauxhall Conference.
I didn't know nothing at all, really, to tell the truth. I knew that we played in pre-season, and that was a good side. It's a hard game against them. I just look forward to getting into pro football. That's the main thing.
I was pretty shocked at first. It happened about 2.5 weeks ago. The manager told me they were interested. Then Neil came and watched the game. Played pretty well, scored one. Thought I had a pretty good game. Then they came with an offer which I turned down. Then again, through the manager, another offer which I said, well, I'll do it for that. And before I knew it, we was coming up here. I thought we were just coming to talk. And before we knew it, we'd signed, sealed and delivered. And that's it. It's happened so quickly.
Well, you're probably the best people to tell us about each other, really. So, right. I mean, let's start with Paul. David, if I can ask you, what about Paul Harding? What are his strengths?
Paul Harding, ball winner. Very hard to get off the ball once he's got it. Skillful, quick, and doesn't take any prisoners.
And what about this big fella? What's he going to add to Notts County?
Strength. It's very, very quick. There's no doubt about that. Very quick. He can hold the ball up and knock it off. Nice touch. And he scores goals.
Against West Ham, Regis was in the starting lineup in place of Gary Lund, and Harding had taken over in midfield from Phil Robinson. Lund and Robinson, two of last season's Wembley heroes. They began to slip from the scene. And, more controversially, Neil Warnock left out Tommy Johnson. The manager had been so disappointed with the overall team performance in the previous Tuesday's 2-2 home draw with Charlton Athletic that before the kick-off, Warnock apologised to the fans. Now County, though losing, were brighter. A week later, they confirmed the improvement, beating West Bromwich Albion 4-3 at Meadow Lane. Bartlett scored 2 that day, and when Bristol City, also promoted last season, were beaten 3-2, it was David Regis's turn for a pair.
Turner through the middle. Regis chases, goes past the defender. He's in the area. Goalkeeper comes and he shoots and he scores. Regis kept so cool when he took the ball from Turner. Went past the defender Llewellyn, drew the goalkeeper, puts the ball in, and Notts on 12 minutes are a goal to the good against Bristol City. Shot by Draper, comes through the ruck of players to make it 2-2. Nothing to aim at. Inside the box, turned and swivelled. 10 minutes left, and Mark Draper from 20 yards raises County's hopes now at 2-2. Chilly's kick through the middle. Regis onto it. Regis chases and shoots. Magnificent goal. David Regis, 6 for him. Brilliant effort. Drives it past the visiting goalkeeper. Straight from Cherry. Straight downfield. Picked up by Regis. No wonder they're all on their feet in front of me. Notts ahead 3-2. And a classic by David Regis.
The gate against Bristol City was only 6,500. And once again the size of support at Meadow Lane was causing concern to Chairman Derek Pavis.
I was just a little bit, I'll be honest with you, I was heartbroken on the first home match when the gate didn't even come up to last year's average. Particularly when we'd smartened the ground up. We've spent over £100,000 on the county stand and the pitch is almost new again. We've had an automatic sprinkler system put onto the pitch. We've done this, we've done that. We've tried to improve everything all round because we at Notts County do care, you know. We do care about our supporters and we are trying to improve the facilities. When we look at Liverpool as a city, it's probably got more people unemployed than anywhere else pro rata throughout the country. They've got poll tax problems, they've got high mortgage, they've got unemployment. But Liverpool's gates haven't gone down. I'm not saying we play as well as Liverpool. I'm just making a point that there's some other people's gates haven't gone down because of the financial problems. I'm asking the Nottingham citizens, please, get off your backside and just come and see us just a couple of times and see if you enjoy it. Please.
Difficulties off the field, but on it, Notts produced their best in an exciting 2-2 draw at Sheffield Wednesday. Better was to follow before the year's end, when on Boxing Day, at Blackburn, Notts got all 3 points with this Kevin Bartlett special.
Oh, it's a beautiful ball through from Dean Thomas. It finds Bartlett. Bartlett goes past the goalkeeper and he finds the back of the net. And Notts with a super goal on 20 minutes take the lead. It was beautifully fashioned by Dean Thomas. He found Kevin Bartlett in space. And Kevin Bartlett, County's leading scorer, draws out the keeper. It wasn't a good angle, but he makes no mistake. Blackburn 0, Notts 1.
And 3 days later, at Newcastle United, there was another great win.
65 minutes gone here, 0-0. Bartlett gets clear, spirited run by him. Oh, and brilliant finish by Bartlett. What a goal it was. He raced down the left, he had support, he didn't use it, and he beats Burridge at his near post. It is a classic goal by Kevin Bartlett. 1-0 to Notts. It's Christian Short going through the middle, all on his own. He goes round the goalkeeper. He's through in the area. He shoots wide. And a penalty has been given. Real drama in the closing stages. He's hugged his Christian Short. They're delighted with the enterprise he showed in moving forward. And he was obviously held back as he went through. The goalkeeper came. He had the empty net to aim at. And the referee says He was held back. Mark Draper against John Berridge with the penalty. Comes up, strikes it and scores! Not certainly to now today. Having led 1-0 from 65 minutes, are going to be unbeaten in 8 running in the league, and to the joy of their fans,
An unbeaten run which had started against West Bromwich Albion reached its climax against Middlesbrough at Meadow Lane on the 19th of January, County's 11th in the league without defeat. They beat Middlesbrough 3-2 after one of the season's best home matches. The win was achieved against a better side with the division's best away record. It was also the first time Notts had beaten rivals from the top 8.
Notts hoping for a penalty, but free kick it is. Obstruction on Robinson. Well, all that's controversial because Robinson there clearly was fouled. The referee has given it right on the edge of the area. It seemed to be inside the box. Draper, however, is the man who's going to have the free kick. The referee ordering a 2-man Middlesbrough wall back. Draper takes it, drives it in, and it's there inside the near post. It's 1-1. The referee is being pursued by Middlesbrough players protesting that it should not count. Even the goalkeeper is chasing off his line. Stephen Pearce is in the centre circle, and Middlesbrough players running risks that they are going to be booked en masse if they're not careful. Draper has equalised. The goal will stand. All sorts of trouble here. Johnson brings it down on his chest, wide on the left-hand side. Being pursued by Parkinson, ball in the middle, and Regis scores! And Notts in injury time in the first half have got the equaliser to make it 2-2. Berra twice ahead. Notts equalising almost on the whistle, I suspect. Johnson's break, lovely control on the chest. Lovely transfer. Hard low shot by Regis. 2-2. Craig Short's free kick, picked up by Regis. Johnson shoots and scores! And Notts for the first time in the game going to the lead. And Tommy Johnson, who hasn't scored since October, is the man who makes it 3-2. Such an important flick by Regis. And Tommy Johnson at the end of it. Oh, and suddenly Baird is clear. Edge of the area. He goes through. He goes down. And a penalty is given. Penalty is given against Dean Thomas. The foul on Baird. And the referee points to the spot, and it's a chance for Berra, twice ahead in this game, to get back on terms at 3-3. The penalty is going to be taken by Baird. He comes up and he shoots over the top. The penalty is missed. It's high over. Notts are still in the lead at 3-2.
County's fortunes in the league then, unexpectedly and inexplicably, nosedived as Notts didn't win in the league for 6 matches and started to lose contact with the playoff places. But the fans had plenty to excite them, thanks to a really fine run in that most glamorous of all competitions, the FA Cup. It had started with a stunning 5-2 win at Hull. Then, in the 4th round, the old enemy, by which I mean Oldham Athletic, were at Meadow Lane again, beaten again, this time 2-0.
The free kick is just inches inside the Notts half. Draper takes it. Yates nods it on. Bartlett's in space. Bartlett can't keep possession. Turner can, and Turner scores. And Notts have gone into the lead, and Phil Turner, when all seemed to be lost, because Bartlett for a moment seemed to have the ball running away from him. But from Draper's free kick, what a star Draper in the first half. But Turner is the man for whom they're on their feet. Notts 1, Oldham 0. The throw by Palmer, picks out Draper. The cross comes in, and Bartlett's there, and now it's Short who's put the ball in, and Craig Short makes it 2-0. 22 minutes gone in the second half. The danger from another set piece. This time it was a throw by Palmer. The first effort didn't go in from Bartlett. What a game he's had, but it fell for Craig Short to lift it into the roof of the net.
The 5th round draw was perfect. First division opposition in the shape of Manchester City. It attracted nearly 19,000 fans to see Steve Cherry hold City at bay with a magnificent goalkeeping exhibition, and Gary Lund win the tie with this sensational late goal.
And now through Bartlett, and Bartlett's in the area. Bartlett's going on, and Curtin comes and saves it. And now it's back for Lund to shoot wide. No, not in. Lund has scored. Lund has done it on the watch. It's 43 minutes and 40 seconds, and Gary Lund, it seemed for a moment to be straying outside, and Gary Lund brings the whole of Meadow Lane to its feet. Everybody in the main stand salutes Gary Lund, who is the cup tie hero. He set them on the way at Hull in the 3rd round. He played here in place of David Regis' cup tied in that thrilling win over Oldham. And now Gary Lund, the ball played through. First Bartlett, then Turner had chances, and finally, with a minute to go, Gary Lund makes it 1-0. Is it to be the 6th round of the Cup? 49.5 minutes of the second half. Notts through Gary Lund in the lead. The goal came out of nothing. The goal that's so precious. The ball is with Coton. Coton clears his lines right-footed. Referee shows no signs of stopping it yet. And Paris comes in on it, knocks the ball through to Turner. Turner handles and the whistle goes. Does it? Does the whistle go? Yes, I think it does. The crowd thinks so. They're on the pitch and the referee confirms it. And Notts are in the last 8 of the FA Cup for only the second time since the war.
Well, obviously there have been chances missed at both ends, and it did look as though it was going to end up at that stage of the game. It looks as though it was going to be a draw. But you keep plugging away and hopefully one of the chances go in, and luckily it fell to me and I put it in.
Is it fair to say that in your case it was the first clear-cut chance you had all afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, the way we played, the chances kept falling to Kevin Bartlett and Phil Turner, the way we sort of catching them on the break over the top. And it was my first real opportunity, and 1 out of 1 ain't bad.
3 in the first half, 2 to Kevin and 1 to Phil, and they didn't hit the target, but when they were on target, Steve Cherry was a hero for you.
Well, obviously Steve has played very well today, and he deserves every credit for keeping us in the game and keeping them from scoring.
Steve, congratulations. It was great to watch. What was it like from your point of view?
Hectic. First off, obviously everything went well for me. We looked a little bit, not I would say sloppy, but they was quite good up front.
There's some good players, haven't they?
Yes, yeah, full of talent. Yeah, I mean we expected a bit of a bad time or a bit of a bad 10 minutes, and we got it. Obviously, I made my first save within 10 minutes, which was quite pleasing, and everything went well from there on.
There was a heart-stopping moment, even after Notts had scored at the other end, when the ball came back off the angle of the post and bar as well, wasn't
there?
Wow.
I was a bit clumsy with me, because the cross came over and I should have come to punch, and I tried to catch it and made contact with Quinn and dropped the ball, and obviously he hooked it against the post upright or the crossbar, one or two.
Now in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, Notts were given the opportunity to test themselves at White Hart Lane against the might of glamorous Spurs, Gaza, Lineker and all.
I think Gascoigne is probably the best in the world at the moment. Like it's difficult because ability that he's got is natural, and you can't really just put a man on and just do this, that and the other. And so we've not really bothered about individuals. We're more concerned in how we perform and the way we want to play it. We may have no option on the day, but we've got to give it a go. And after all, we've got further than both Liverpool and Manchester United, so we're not doing bad. I think the crowd will be important, but I think my lads really, if anything, are quite pleased it's at Tottenham, because the stadium at Tottenham is fantastic, and it gives a lot of the young lads. It just shows you what we're aiming for in the league this season, because it's got to be everybody's ambition to go to Tottenham and places like that week in, week out.
What a day out it proved to be. Though Notts went out 2-1, this stunning first half goal by Donna Reardon, by which Notts led at the interval, will always be remembered.
First corner of the afternoon to either side. Phil Turner takes it, hammers the ball in. It's not clear to Gascoigne on the edge of the area, but only as far as Reardon tries the shot. It's in the back of the net. Notts have scored from a Reardon in 40 minutes. It was hammered into Reardon, and the finishing effort was superb into the far corner. And the jubilation on the right-hand side of the ground. Every Notts supporter on their feet.
I've been known in the past to hit him like that, usually with my right foot though. I mean, never with my left foot, and it was obviously very sweet. And the irony is, my missus had a few bob with me scoring the first goal today, so she had a premonition that I'd score, and she usually has these every so often, about once every 2 years, I think it is. And it was nice that it went in. But fantastic feeling to see it hit the back of the net. But it's just a pity that it wasn't more significant as far as the result went.
Unfortunately, you don't get anything for hard luck, but the lads did ever so well, and very proud of them. I thought the supporters were magnificent. I must say, I hope people listen to this, but I've had a lot of letters from what I said last week about, I think the headlines were read into it more than the story. Our supporters are fantastic. I just asked for an extra 1,000 of the fringe people who don't watch us to come and support us, not the regulars. I have no criticism whatsoever of the regulars, and no intention of leaving. So I just want to thank the supporters. They're fantastic today.
What was the sort of mood in the dressing room after the final whistle, because you'd come so close to getting a replay?
Well, when you're professional, you're very disappointed when you lose like that. I thought both goals were very, very silly ones, but at the highest level, you get punished for making mistakes, and we got punished. Obviously disappointment, but as I said to him, we haven't got time to be disappointed. We've got to get on now. We've got an important game on Tuesday night, and we'll need the supporters on Tuesday to keep us going.
Obviously, promotion to the First Division is your main objective this season, Neil. Do you think the fact that you've now played against one of the better teams in the First Division and played so well will encourage your players to put in even more effort?
Well, I think we're starting to believe how good we can be, really, and it's a nice situation to show people in such a high stage, a big stage, just what we can do. And I can't see why we can't do that week in, week out. Although obviously one or two teams in our division will disagree with that. But they're doing the best, and it shows what is there to be aimed for. And we've got to stop feeling sorry for ourselves now and get on with the Port Vale game.
Having acquitted themselves so wonderfully well against two leading First Division clubs in the FA Cup, Notts now had to get their league season back on course. They drew with Port Vale and Bristol Rovers before winning at Wolves. Then they slipped badly by losing at home to Leicester City when Dean Yates was sent off.
Oh, no, fielding on the end of this from Russell, brought down in the area by Dean Yates, penalty given. So Leicester have a penalty, and what's going to happen to Dean Yates? Sensations here. Dean Yates being called across by the referee. Is it a professional foul of the sort that gets him off? Yes, it is. And Dean Yates goes, not for the first time in his career, seeing the red card, playing, of course, against his hometown club. He brought down David Oldfield, who was through 8 yards out, scoring position.
Yates missed 3 games for our defence, and later, for having been sent off against Swindon, 4 more. Notts beat Blackburn, lost at Bristol City, beat Newcastle United, and lost at Barnsley. So results were still patchy, if improving, thanks not least to Tommy Johnson's return to deadly scoring form, including this hat-trick in the 4-1 win over Blackburn on Easter Saturday.
Now down the left-hand side by Notts, Paris to Johnson, shoots, and there, Tommy Johnson does it. 25 minutes into the second half, away from the goalkeeper, and the two leading scorers have got the 2 Notts goals. First Bartlett, now Johnson, instant strike, edge of the area, Mims groping, 2 under Notts. Lovely move that. It's Turner, he finds Johnson, Johnson goes forward, and beautiful finish by Tommy Johnson. Held on, and with the left foot squeezes the ball away from Mims into the corner. We had a good goal earlier from him, we had a fine one from Stapleton. That's the pick, that's Johnson. Turner's free, inside right channel, puts the ball in. Johnson is the man who completes his hat-trick. What joy for the youngster. 3 minutes to go, Turner makes it, and Johnson comes across and says, thanks skipper for that. What a lovely ball, perfect finish. 3 for Johnson and 4 for Notts, and Tommy's golden afternoon.
When Notts slipped into top gear, their run into the end of the season was to take them through 8 matches unbeaten, including 7 straight wins, just 1 short of the all-time club record established in 1914. And David Regis, following Johnson, also grabbed a hat-trick in the 4-0 rout of Plymouth on the 27th of April, the season's biggest win.
73 minutes, not swinging another corner, right-hand side as they attack the middle lane end. Having their chances now, not taking them. Now Dean Thomas, flicked on by Johnson, and it's in! It's put there by David Regis. He makes it 2-0. A lovely moment, it's been coming, it's been threatening, and suddenly the atmosphere of tension lifts again. Little strike by Regis, 2-0. And Notts repeat a corner on this right-hand side. Thomas takes this one. Again it comes across. Charlie Palmer forward. Regis into the corner. Makes it 2 for himself and 3 for Notts. They're beginning to celebrate here. The whistle goes. and the referee doesn't look too decisive about it, but penalty, I think it is, because Chapman goes down in the box, and penalty indeed it is. Chapman is on for Draper, Bartlett is on for Johnson. Both Draper and Johnson are players who may have taken a penalty, but you don't need me to tell you that it's going to be left to the man who's on a hat-trick, David Regis, in the last minute of the game here. David Regis for a hat-trick, the first of his elite career, the ex-Barnet boy, against Dave Walter. Notts leading 3. Can he make it 4? Can he make it a personal 3? Yes! David Regis' hat-trick, 4-0 for Notts. The best home win of the season, beating the Easter Saturday 4-1 against Blackburn. And guess what? They had a hat-trick that day. That was Tommy Johnson. This is David Regis. I tell you what, he's like the musical sitting alongside me. He's the most happy fella. Now, how did it happen? Who told you to go up and take the penalty and make it a hat-trick?
I did. Definitely. I had to. There's no way anyone else was going to get the penalty, no matter what. So I just grabbed the ball before anyone else had a chance to say anything. I think the lads would have let me take it anyway, but I just made sure of that.
Two sides already assured of automatic promotion fell to rampant Notts in this inspired spell. Oldham, yes, them again, crashed 2-0 at Meadow Lane.
The foul was on Turner. It was by Jobson, who gets a ticking off but no card. And it's Thomas's free kick, and it's headed in. Beautiful header. Notts taking the lead. Just 25 minutes gone. The free kick does it. Beautifully floated in. And David Regis atones for his miss just a few minutes earlier. He, as he was last week, he's the most happy fella. It's Notts 1, Oldham 0. Thomas chips the ball in, beats everybody and goes in. It gets a touch from, I think, Johnson. It goes in, it gives Notts the cushion. The free kick was piloted across by O'Riordan. It was beautiful work. O'Riordan looks as pleased as anybody, and no wonder. But I think it was Tommy Johnson's final touch. It's certainly 2.
And on the season's last day, West Ham were denied the Second Division Championship.
Now Harding, battling strongly down the right, gets clear, gets the cross in, gets another cross in, comes back to Johnson, to Draper, tries the shot, and Notts has scored. Notts in the lead through Draper on 22 minutes. And as on Tuesday, it was Paul Harding. He made a goal on Tuesday for Regis, and he makes this for Draper to score. Edge of the area, locked into the corner, and not even Miklosko can get down to those. West Ham 0, Notts 1. Don O'Riordan's free kick from the right. It's nodded away by Dowie, way back in defence. Picked up now by Harding, edge of the area. White to Tommy Johnson. Johnson's ball in. Picked up by Draper. Tries the shot. Goes in. Miklosko watched it. Couldn't believe it. And it's just inside the goalkeeper's left-hand post. It seemed to be going out. Miklosko certainly thought it was. And suddenly, it's in the back of the West Ham net. And Notts, 2 for Draper, 2 to the good, 26 minutes.
Notts, finishing 4th, now face the testing playoffs for the second season running. Could they become the first club in the league's history to achieve successive promotions to the First Division via the playoff route? The start at Middlesbrough, who'd finished 7th, was brilliant.
And the long throw in is picked up by Draper from Chris Short. Hoiked forward into the box, headed clear by Coleman, picks up Hendry. Hendry clears his lines only as far as Craig Short back for Turner. Turner through, Turner shoots and Turner scores. The long ball forward, he got a little nick off Regis, and Turner puts Notts in the lead on 26 minutes. Such an important breakthrough goal. The 2,000 Notts fans over on the far side, absolutely delighted, need I tell you. Silence reigns over the rest of Ayresome Park. The ball forward, the little flick on. Regis, I think, got a touch. Turner was in the clear, made no mistake.
A late Borough equaliser left Notts in exactly the same position as 12 months earlier against Bolton Wanderers, needing to win to secure a Wembley place. In a really tense, highly charged atmosphere, which clearly got to the players of both teams, the outcome wasn't settled until the 77th dramatic minute.
Picked up by Notts to Mark Draper, hammers it forward to Paul Harding, now down the right-hand touchline, foul on him. It's by the number 4, it's by Mowbray. It's another free kick to Notts. Borough seem quite content in many ways to give these away. And it's going to be driven in from the right by Mark Draper, and the crowd rouse themselves again. Draper it's going to be. The big men are forward. The penalty area is crowded. Across it comes. The header comes in. It's there. The header has gone in. And Harding, I think it is. And they're off the bench. They're on their feet in front of me. It was Paul Harding's header, as I said, which found the corner of the net. And poor Andy Dibble, so frustrated, looks disgusted, disconsolate, kicks the ball away. The free kick given away, slanted in by Mark Draper, and Paul Harding, the man who looked ready to come off, now separates the sides, and we've got 11 minutes to go at Meadow Lane. 11 more nail-biting minutes. We are in injury time. We are surely within clear focus of Wembley. The goal kick is being taken by Steve Cherry. That's it. The whistle goes. Notts are at Wembley for the second year running. And what I feared to say before can be said now, because Notts County had never been to Wembley before last season. And now they're going for the second year running. They're going for the second year running to the Twin Towers. They'll meet Brighton there on Sunday week. And the prize of the winners of that will be First Division football. The crowd invades the pitch in high good humour, delighted by the Notts win, 1-0.
Neil, just a very quick word for Radio Nottingham. Congratulations. Ever in any doubt at all?
You saw the match, it was in doubt right at the end, wasn't it?
And what about the substitution? Were you going to bring Phil Turner off if it wasn't for the injury?
I'm just a successful manager.
See you soon, Neil. Congratulations from us all. Well done, mate. It's a good job that this interview is on the radio, not on television, because Paul Harding's not wearing a lot apart from a smile. Paul, congratulations on that goal. Probably the worst you've ever scored in your career, isn't it?
No, it's the ball just come across and no one challenged me. Just got the ball, it went in the net. Just couldn't believe it scored. First goal.
What about the game overall? Did you ever feel it was slipping away?
No, not really. Like we could have. It was half and half really. Sort of. It was tight, like. But as soon as we got the breakthrough, it eased a lot, and I pushed that front like just before I scored the goal, and I was just like. I was just glad to score. It was brilliant.
Well done, Paul. Anyway, congratulations to Paul Harding, and we'll just have a quick look round and see if we can have a word with a few. We've spoken to Neil Warnock already. Mick Jones is here. Mick, the assistant, the coach, assistant manager, doesn't really matter on a night like this, Mick, does it? Congratulations, and great pride for you as well to a club that you played for, and now you're on the verge of taking them back to Wembley, but this time for the First Division.
I think it's incredible, Andrew, that supporters over 50, 60, 70 years have never seen Notts County at Wembley, and to see them at Wembley 2 years running, that's incredible for all those people who have backed Notts County over the years, so it's a credit to them.
And what about your view on top of the main stand where the cameras are? How do you see it from up there?
It wasn't a classic. It was never going to be a classic. I think there was too much at stake. They didn't concede a goal. We didn't concede a goal. I think it was a game for fighters and for character. And like all season, we've shown our character. It's probably our least effective display for a long time, but probably the most important one.
Mick, thanks for talking to us. Get the champagne out. Congratulations. Mick Jones there. Steve Cherry. Steve, congratulations.
Thank you.
A couple of good saves you to make. It wasn't just a question of scoring up front tonight.
What did you say?
It wasn't just a question of Paul Harding's goal. You had a couple of good saves to make.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a classic game, but we got the result we wanted, and it was a great team effort. Fantastic. Back at Wembley again. Can't believe it.
Great. Well done, Steve Cherry. And the celebrations are going on down here in the dressing room as the players pose for the photo, and Steve Cherry is just being called in. You'll see this picture in the Evening Post tomorrow night, no doubt, and all the other papers. Dean Yates, I can tell you, is hot foot down from our commentary position, and Dean has just joined them. Neil Warnock is there. We'll try and grab a word with Don O'Riordan, because of course it's been something special for Don O'Riordan, this march towards Wembley. Charlie Palmer's just joining the Notts lads now in the celebrations here. It's absolute bedlam in the dressing room at the moment, and we'll just try and grab a word with Don O'Riordan before we get some more atmosphere from outside the ground. Dono, the fans wouldn't forgive us if we didn't talk to you after that. A few tears in your eyes, Don. Great performance.
It's just not something really. I mean, I played all this time and just haven't had a sniff of Wembley really, and now all of a sudden we're there. I can't believe it.
And while all this was happening, Brighton were calmly destroying Millwall 6-2 on aggregate in the other semi-final. Notts had finished 10 clear points ahead of Brighton in the second division table. It would count for nothing if, at Wembley, for the second year running, County couldn't conjure the heart, the skill and the finishing power to join the elite of the Football League.